Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, Robin Reborn, Tim Drake Robin. Tim Drake was the third of Batman's Robins, and this figure is based off of the first appearance, Robin Reborn. I have some issues with this figure, but it looks absolutely fantastic. I ordered this thing from the McFarlane toy store, so let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse, Robin, Tim Drake. Here he is in the package. He has a display stand, collector's card, a batarang, and then Tim Drake's signature staff. One side of the package, Robin, Tim Drake from Robin Reborn. Other side, Robin, Tim Drake. At the bottom, bunch of credits. There's his barcode, if that helps anybody. And on the back side, here's an image of Robin, Batman in the background, from Robin Reborn. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And like I said, I ordered this figure from the McFarlane toy store. I took advantage of the bundle discount and the coupon code, and I got these two figures for just a tad over retail, and that's after shipping in Texas. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a display stand, collector's card, batarang, and then of course, Tim Drake's signature staff. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Tim Drake as Robin. This is Batman's third Robin, and he was the cool Robin, the first cool Robin. Why was he so cool? Well, he's young, he's a teenager, he has pants on, he has spiked hair, he had a car, he had a girlfriend, he has a really cool Robin logo. They just totally switched up. Both Dick Grayson and Jason Todd in the original continuity wore that sort of elfish outfit with short shorts and tights and elf shoes, and it was kind of hokey, kind of feminine, kind of corny. This is a real Robin, cool version. He was a Robin in the 90s when I was into comics, so this is my Robin, Tim Drake. He stayed Robin for a very long time, until eventually Damian Wayne became Robin, and then Tim Drake here became Red Robin. I believe nowadays in the comics, both Damian Wayne and Tim Drake are both known as Robin, but that's a story for another day. In the meantime, let's take a look at him. Start with the face here. Looks great. Hair looks good. It's kind of spiked up. He's got the green domino mask. White eyes. Looks like he has some lenses there. As we go further down, he's got the New Age Robin logo on his chest. Looks fantastic. His cape is black on the outside, yellow on the inside. I always thought that was so cool. Unique. The other Robins all had a pure yellow cape. He does have the same signature Robin colors. Yellow, red, and green. His torso seems kind of long, kind of lean. I don't know, it seems a little bit different from the previous release of this guy, but we'll check that out in depth shortly. He's got pouches on his bicep, pouches on his forearm, pouches on his hand. That was sort of a signature sort of thing for Tim Drake here. He's got green, I don't know, tights or leggings for under suit, black boots, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. Overall, he looks great. They made this previous version of Robin that was very inaccurate to the source material, and it was obvious they were really intended to do this one, and they just lazily made a variant in the all-red costume using the same parts from this guy. And finally, he is here. The wait is over. This is a very nice figure. He looks fantastic. With the red version, I thought he looked a little bit too big, bulky, and armored. I don't know if it's just the paint scheme or what, but this one looks quite a bit leaner. We'll compare them both slightly. My biggest problem with this figure is his diaper area. Now mine, I don't know, it just doesn't come down far enough. You move the legs around, it kind of pushes the diaper in. Really annoying. You got to really kind of work hard to get it to not do that. Kind of go inside, push it out. The only other figure I've had like this is the Year 2 Batman. It kept getting stuck and eventually his diaper tore. Really annoying. Both sides are kind of like that. I'd say this side's a little bit worse, but it sort of tucks in his diaper or crotch area, and that really sucks. Got to kind of mess with it. Get it to kind of push out. Now I can kind of push his diaper down a little bit, and it kind of goes over his legs a little more. Is anyone else having this problem? Let me know. Is mine a one-off, or are they all like this? I am going to try to heat the figure and see if I can shove his diaper down a little further. But man, that really sucks. It's got a big old gap there. It's tucking that stupid thing in. It's really hard to kind of get it in to go just right. And once you get it good, it doesn't last. So let me heat him up, see if I can fix that out. So I took some boiling water, dipped this Robin into it. He sort of took a little hot tub bath in the jacuzzi. I was able to take his legs, sort of shove them a little higher up, and then I also sort of pulled the diaper down. But I think it looks fantastic right now, but I feel like anything I did is just temporary. We'll see how he holds up as I handle him. Another minor observation of this Tim Drake figure is I feel like the head sits a little too far down on the neck. He has no neck. It just looks kind of weird. I don't know, not so bad from the side, but from the front, it just seems like you should see some of the neck there. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. I think it looks good. They captured this Robin pretty nicely. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's a display stand. We've seen it a million times before. It's a black circle, very thin, very basic, but it gets the job done. Now for a look at his collector's card. This is a replica of Robin #1 from the limited series. You can see Batman with his newest Robin. And it just so happens that I have this comic down here below. Here's a look at the entire Robin miniseries, issues 1 through 6, and even a reprint of issue #1. This was sort of the precursor. They made a Robin miniseries named Robin. Then they made a Robin miniseries, Robin 2, and then even Robin 3 before he got his own ongoing series, which lasted for many, many years. Now let's look at his Batarang. It's a pretty regular looking Batarang. Black. Got some nice little bit of sculpting detail on it. Here's Robin holding and getting ready to throw his Batarang. Now let's look at his staff. Tim Drake had a signature staff. That was just one of the things he was known for. Staff here is silver. It's long. It's got different notches all throughout it. Here's Tim Drake holding his staff. He can hold it with either one hand or with two. One of my subscribers, Final Consensus, had asked me if I could take the Amazon exclusive Batman Family 5-pack unmasked Jason Todd head, or I guess it's unhelmeted Jason Todd head as he does have a mask on, and put it onto this Tim Drake body. And I'll tell you what, I think it looks great. It looks really cool in this body, but to me, it just doesn't look like Tim. Tim doesn't really wear his hair like this. It's typically spiked up. I think you'd also have to paint the domino mask green. To me, this unmasked head looks more like Dick Grayson than Jason Todd. And on this body, it looks like Dick Grayson in a modern Robin costume. It does look good, but to me personally, it doesn't shout out Tim Drake. Now I wanted to check him out next to the previous version of the Tim Drake Robin. This is the Amazon exclusive in the all-red suit, grossly inaccurate to the source material, and see what were the differences besides the obvious paint differences. First of all, they do appear to be the exact same height. For some reason, this guy just seems leaner. I can't quite put my finger on it. It must be something to do with the belt. I don't think any of the parts are reused, or rather, retooled. So the heads, they're definitely a little bit different. Going further down, the torso looks to be exactly the same. The part below the torso looks to be exactly the same, but I don't know if it's slimmed down a little bit. I feel like it is. I feel like it's not as wide here than it is here, but maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe it's a paint scheme that's sort of just altering my perception. For some reason, it seems a lot leaner on this guy than on this guy. The belt and diaper are definitely different. The arms are exactly the same, and this guy never should have had these arms. It should be one big sleeve. You shouldn't have the fake sleeve here. It looks so dumb. They were so lazy on this, and they fucked it up. It was clearly meant for this the entire time, and we finally got the appropriate version. This guy always had the pouches all over his arms here. This guy never did. Cape, different. Head, different. Diaper, different. That looks to be about it. This was such a lazy release here. He should have had fins on his arms. Should not have had the sleeves like this. Shouldn't have had the pouches. Shouldn't have had the armored torso. As a whole, this one is disappointing. This one looks fantastic, but still has a couple of small issues. I feel like he's a little bit too tall. I think the Blue Beetle Booster Gold body might have worked for him, although then the torso would just look a little too bland and plain. Still, the way this guy looks is absolutely fantastic, even if it's just a little bit off. Now we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing right about 7.0 inches tall. Maybe the figure's top of the head is 6.9 inches. He's got the hair, kind of sticks up a little bit. It's going to translate to just under 18 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, he can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down a pretty good amount. Tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders, ball joint, goes up about 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area. Increase the range of motion and cover the large gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows, they go all the way in. His wrists can rotate, and it's going to be hinged. In his torso, he's got a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another one in his waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion in his torso area. One minor complaint, his armor or torso looks really good like this, but if you stretch it out, you can see the sort of flat piece, and it doesn't have the armor sort of seamless. Looks kind of bad like that. Legs, complete does a splits, not a ball joint. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation, minimal, but it's there. They go forward, about that much. Back, not too much. He's got double jointed knees below that. And then his ankle here. There's rotation at the top. Tilt, rock. And of course, toe articulation. Here's a look at Tim Drake posed up on a rooftop of Gotham, defending the city. And here's Batman and Robin. These are two versions from the 90s, the dynamic duo. Here's Robin, next to the original version of Spoiler. This is how she looked when she was first introduced in the 90s. These guys worked together a ton, ended up dating for many, many years. Now let's check them out, next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Tim Drake figures. Here he is, next to McFarlane's first Tim Drake Robin. Well, I guess not the first one they made, but it's the earlier version with the exact same sculpt. Very lazy effort on McFarlane's part, and it was very obvious this body was intended for this first appearance Tim Drake Robin. Here are all of the different Tim Drake figures McFarlane has made. We have Robin from Gotham Knights, Robin from the first appearance, Robin from 1 year later, and then Red Robin from the New 52. And here he is, next to all of my DC Direct and DC Collectibles Tim Drake figures. There is a DC Direct Tim Drake Robin from Teen Titans, probably the best one out there. I'd love to track that one down. Then, next to all of my Mattel Tim Drake Robin figures, and here are some more Mattel Robin figures that may or may not be Tim Drake. The one on the left is from the Power Attack line, and he has Tim Drake's R, but there was no Nightwing in that line, so it could be Dick Grayson or Tim Drake. And the ones on the right, I believe they're from the Batman Missions line, and they would be Tim Drake Robin, as they have Nightwing in that line as well. Now, Tim Drake was Robin for a long time. He had the green, red, and yellow costume. Then he eventually got the all-red costume. And then he switched identities a few different times. Later he became Red Robin. Here's his Tim Drake, next to a few different Red Robin figures. DC Direct on the left, Mattel next to Robin, next to a custom Tim Drake Robin. Now, one on the far left, I believe, is actually Dick Grayson as Red Robin from Kingdom Come. And I'm pretty sure the other two are supposed to be Tim Drake. I know the custom is. Then, next to a couple of Red Robin figures in his New 52 costume with the wings. And here he is, next to a Mattel Red Robin. This is his costume that he wore in the Rebirth comics, and I always wish McFarlane would make this version. Now, Tim Drake has reverted back to Robin, and has a similar costume to his Red Robin Rebirth costume, but not labeled Robin. That is actually the figure that I want McFarlane to make the most, to add to my modern Bat family. And now, next to a custom Tim Drake in civilian attire that I made a while ago. Now let's check them out. Next is some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here are all the different Tim Drake figures McFarlane has made. The next one coming is going to be the Jokerized New 52 Red Robin. And here he is, next to a Dick Grayson Robin, Tim Drake Robin, and Damian Wayne Robin. The only original Robin they haven't made in their original costume is Jason Todd. And he wore the exact same costume as Dick Grayson, so in theory, you could find a different head and make it your Jason Todd. Here he is, next to the Nightfall Batman. And although he's not taller than Nightfall Batman, thank God, he's still a little bit bigger than he should be. Tim Drake was pretty young, I don't know, maybe 17, 16 when he first became Robin. And these two are from the same era. Robin Reborn was not very far before Nightfall. These are great figures to put next to each other. I just wish Tim Drake was a tiny bit smaller, just a tiny bit. And here he is, next to the Hush Batman. Hush Batman is a giant figure, a little bit too big, but he scales up perfect with this Tim Drake. And Tim Drake was the Robin for Batman during Hush. And here he is, with several more Batman figures I could see people putting him with. The Year 2 Batman is almost like an appropriately scaled Nightfall Batman next to his Tim Drake Robin. Tim Drake's about the same size as the Rebirth Batman, a little bit smaller than the Page Puncher and the Detective Comics 1000 Batman. Here he is, next to a couple of McFarlane Nightwing figures. He's a little bit too big next to the Teen Titans Beast Boy Nightwing figure, who actually looks good, but is just too small next to most of the McFarlane figures. He scales up pretty good next to the Rebirth Nightwing on the left. This Tim Drake kind of gives me a Young Justice vibe, although it's not the right version of Superboy or Aqualad. Still cool to have these four together. Here's Tim Drake next to a few different Stephanie Brown figures. Stephanie Brown was a spoiler, eventually became Batgirl, and then spoiler again, and she was Tim Drake's girlfriend for many years in the comics. On the left, you have a custom spoiler from her earlier appearances when she was with Tim Drake in this costume. Then we have spoiler from the Rebirth comics, and then we have Stephanie Brown as Batgirl. Now let's check him out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, and next to the Hush Superman. These guys are part of the same wave. I got them from the same bundle from the McFarlane toy store. They both look fantastic next to each other, and this Tim Drake was the Robin from Hush, so they work together for a lot of reasons. Then, next to the Anti-Monitor and the Justice Buster, the two most recent McFarlane Mega figures, here's Robin, next to the DC Classics Riddler and the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Villains United Catman and Superboy Prime Patina variant. These three were available in a bundle together. And here he is, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Black and White Accent Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Superman. Then, next to the first wave of McFarlane's Collector's Edition, we have the first appearance Superman, Abyss, and Alan Scott Green Lantern. Now all three of these figures have plenty of Chase variants out there. I have tracked down Superman and Alan Scott, but I'm looking for two of the Abyss. If anybody out there knows where I can get one, or has an extra, or is willing to part with theirs, drop me a line in the comments below. I'm sure we can work something out. And now, next to the Batman and Spawn 2-pack, this Tim Drake actually looks really good next to this Batman. Gives me a Legends of the Dark Knight vibe. Here's Tim Drake. Next to the gold-labeled Dark Knight Trilogy San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures, we have Bane with his coat, Joker as Bank Robber Thug, and then Joker through the sonar vision. And here he is, next to some more San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures. We have the 85th anniversary Superman, the 30th anniversary Nightfall Batman, the Page Puncher's sketch version of the Mr. Freeze, and then the Dread Lantern Alan Scott. Then, next to the Blue Beetle movie wave, we have the Blue Beetle, Carapace, and the Battle Mode Blue Beetle. Here's Tim, next to the Injustice 2 3-pack, Batman, Supergirl, and Dr. Fate. Next, let's check him out with some Target exclusive figures. Here he is, next to the Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack. And here he is, next to some Target exclusive Joker Eyes stuff. Tim Drake is actually the next one that's going to be getting that treatment in his new 52 suit. Then, with the more Target exclusive figures, we have Sinestro Corps Batman, Ted Corps Blue Beetle, Flash War Impulse, and Deadman. And now, with the Target exclusive Flashpoint wave, Aquaman, Project Superman, and Flash. Here's Robin. Next most recent Batman wave, we have the Nightfall Batman, Batman Incorporated Batwing, and the Batman Reborn, Two Faces Batman. And here he is, next to the goofy head sculpt Rebirth Superman vs. Ultraman 2-pack. Then, next to some recent Walmart exclusive gold label figures, we have the Vampire Joker, Batman and Superman, Captain Atom, Eradicator, and Beast Boy. And then Beast Boy here, his face would make a fantastic unmasked Tim Drake if you repaint him. My boy Jason's doing one of those, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with. And finally, next to the 5th wave of Page Punchers, this is a Batman-themed wave, fighting the Frozen. We have Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and Mr. Freeze. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, here's Tim Drake, next to a Kit Kat bar. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collector figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, with some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazz Wars Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a great figure. Tim Drake as Robin in his first appearance outfit. That's the outfit he wore for many years, and I love it. This was my Robin as a teenager and a young adult. This figure looks good. The colors they chose are fantastic, really pop. His accessories are good. Articulation's good. Sculpt paint job are excellent. He's just a little bit too tall, and that problem with the diaper is really bothering me. Please let me know if anyone else has that problem, or if it's just me as a one-off. If it's a one-off, I'll probably end up getting a new Tim Drake figure in the future. This is a figure I was really looking forward to and really want to be a nice figure. If everyone's had that problem, that really sucks. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10, even with the diaper issue. The figure is just awesome. I like him a lot. I thought he was going to be too big and bulky, but he seems slimmer than the other one, and I just don't quite get it. It seems to be the same sculpt, but I don't know. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.